All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are going to react to a video from Young Gala. Young Gala, I haven't seen a video in a long time from. I've been subbed, so I'm not sure what that's all about. But apparently I missed one that is going to be covering Tracy McGrady, according to the thumbnail, and it's called "He Could Have Become the NBA's GOAT. What Happened?" And I'm sure I got some interesting takes on this because at the time I was a Tracy McGrady fan, not a Kobe Bryant fan. In fact, back then I thought in every possible shape and form that T Mac was the better player. Like I thought him and Yao Ming together were going to win multiple championships. It's just sad that injury changed it all. But anyways, shoot Young Gala some love. Check out his channel if you haven't. If you haven't, I'm pretty sure this video is going to convince you. He does great work. All right, so let's see. Let's check out some T Mac stuff. And we're starting right off with Kobe. And him and Kobe were like brothers.
This dude is unbelievable, man.
How so?
Unbelievable. Because he can do everything. I mean, I think I told him one time, I said, bro, you could do everything I could do on the court, but you were 6'10".
Yeah.
Literally everything. I mean, he had no weaknesses, offensively or defensively.
That was the late great Kobe Bryant speaking glowingly about a guy who played the same position he did. And if we come to learn anything about the Mamba, he never speaks highly of any of his peers the way he was describing a guy who at one point was neck and neck with Kobe Bryant in the best player in the world conversation in the early 2000s.
Yeah, for real. Y'all hear him talk about James Harden when he was still playing with the Rockets? And he was just like, yeah, that hero ball, nope. They're never going to win a championship playing that style of ball. And yeah, look what happened. Heard what Kobe said about Ben Simmons years ago. Said if he doesn't learn a mid-range jumper, then it's going to be all for nothing. And look at what happened to Ben Simmons. Kobe would have been a good scout. Kobe would have been a good coach as well, I do believe.
If you haven't guessed already who Kobe was gushing praise about, he was talking about Tracy McGrady, the literal poster child for every Hooper's dream skill set, height, athleticism, scoring ability.
He was street meets just pro. Street meets pro in a way that only Allen Iverson had done before.
T-Mac all wrapped in one. And when Kobe says that T-Mac was by far his toughest cover, you believe him.
Who's the toughest guy you ever played against?
So I mean, there's a lot of guys, but the guy that always gave me the most problems actually was Tracy McGrady.
His talent couldn't be denied. He was a 6'8", 6'9" wing who literally had every tool in his toolbox that a coach could ever want in a player.
I know. Okay, he had ridiculous vertical, crazy long arms, and he had a Jordan / Kobe fadeaway. But he's 6'9", 6'10". Like, what do you do against that guy? The only defense against him was his own injuries. You know, you couldn't stop.
The crossover, the mid-range, the three ball, finishing around the basket, literally everything.
And the thing that I saw in him that I loved about him in high school was that he did everything so easily. And it gave the appearance that he was nonchalant, he didn't care. But when you really broke it down on film, he was fast, he was athletic, he was quick. So consequently, he would always be there waiting and look like he was just, I mean, he was never out of position. Offensively, his moves were quick, but they were slow because he was that fast.
Think about it for a second. Can you think of any 6'8", 6'9" shooting guard in the history of basketball with that deep of an offensive bag? Now, I'm not putting T-Mac on the level of Mike or Kobe regarding rank, but
he could have been. He could have been. If it wasn't for his playoff blunders and all of his injuries, dude, listen, if T-Mac had 5 rings and he never got injured the way he did and he stayed healthy, man, I don't know. We'd all have him in our top 3.
But seriously, at the peak of his powers, T-Mac was essentially a 6'9" Kobe. Trust me. Kobe will be
He
the
was.
first to say that. And speaking of T-Mac's peak, I don't think many people know the kind of offensive force this man was in the earlier part of his career.
Yeah, y'all. Anybody play NBA Street Volume 2 back in the day? Well, I mean, Jordan was my guy, but my number 2 guy was T Mac. My number 3 was Kobe. But dude, T Mac, next level, man. Video games, man. I think it was NBA Live back. No, it was 2K. But 2K back then, like I would play as the Rockets all the time just to play as T Mac.
2002 season for T-Mac wasn't just the best season of his career. It's arguably the greatest offensive season ever put together. 32 points per game with 42 points per 100 possessions. That number per 100 possessions outdid the next highest scorer per 100 possessions by over 4
Nice
points. In fact, the next closest was Shaq, and Shaq was the only dominating force in the NBA at the time. If we take a look at all the other advanced stats, and this is truly the remarkable part, T-Mac led the league in the following advanced analytics: win shares per 48, box plus minus, offensive box plus minus, value over replacement player, and was second in the NBA in overall win shares to only Tim Duncan. He became just the second player in NBA history at the time to finish a season with at least 30% usage rate and assist rate and still lead the NBA in scoring. The only guy to ever do that before him was none other than Michael Jordan. The next guy to carry.
Okay, the only thing I was never really convinced on with T Mac was his defense. But let's see if Young Gala can change my mind on that. Maybe I missed something.
That kind of offensive load and still put up at least 30 points a night was James Harden, when he tallied a usage rate of 36% and an assist rate of an astonishing 45% during the 2017 season. This means that it took 15 years before the league saw another player produce at the level T-Mac produced at during the 2002 season. Wild. But incredibly, that's the silver lining to all this.
The day he had 62. See, he had 62. I think he missed 10 or 12 free throws that game.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Those ones hurt.
He was hitting us with the same pop.
Yeah.
We put our 4-man on him. We put our 5-man on him.
It was just smooth as butter, man. Dribble, dribble, bang. One dribble, bang. Pump fake, bang. Like it like Isaiah said, it it was hard to see how good he was because it looked so simple. It's like older Kobe. The last 2 championships, Kobe. Like he's just smooth as butter.
We doubled him with our 4 and our 5. He was shooting over all of it. Like
Bang.
it was unbelievable. Like, yo, this dude is crazy. Like we got, Brendan Haywood,
Oh, man.
7 foot,
Shooting
arm
over
it,
him.
Dribble, bang,
Jared Jeffrey, 6'11", long arm.
dribble.
Yeah, like they were too small.
T-Mac had a historic
All right, Gil used to do that too. Actually, one dribble pull up, one dribble pull up.
2002 season and did something very few guys have ever done in professional basketball. And though he had other seasons in which he was no doubt one of the 5 or 10 best players in the league, T-Mac didn't sustain that peak level for that long. Why? Well, there's only one thing that can stop a man so supremely gifted: injuries, and a whole lot of them.
He would have sustained for so long if it wasn't for injuries. He was so good.
At 23 years old, T-Mac already entered the conversation of the best player in the world, and people seriously debated if he was better at the age 23 than even Michael Jordan was at the same age. What if
By the way, you guys, where do you think the narrative of Kobe got carried by Shaq started? It's because we all thought T-Mac was better, but Kobe inherited such a great legendary team. He had Phil Jackson, he had freaking prime Shaq, so all of us T-Mac lovers were we were pissed off. Kobe just came in and he had such a fantastic team. Great organization, great setup to just start winning right off the bat. So that's where it started. It's not that Kobe really got carried. That whole narrative is bullshit. I was a part of the problem back then, but truth is, we wanted to see T-Mac win. And I can't believe I'm saying it now that the guy's been retired for years. T-Mac never won. I mean, unless you count that ring with the Spurs when he played like 8 minutes in the playoffs or whatever. But real T-Mac didn't win. He didn't lead a team to victory, and it's insane the injury caused
Someone told you in 2003, after winning his first scoring title, that Tracy McGrady would be a shell of himself in 4 years. I would probably say, yeah, and Michael Jordan's going to unretire and win another MVP. It ain't
Right?
happening. But the
Right?
truth is, that's exactly what happened. One injury led to another. It started with back spasms T-Mac began dealing with during parts of the 2004 season. Things only began to get worse when T-Mac hurt his back during practice to start the 2005 season. Just a day later, it was announced that he would miss 3 weeks once the extent of the injury became clearer. When he tried to play with a bad back against the Denver Nuggets a couple months later, it got so bad that T-Mac collapsed in pain and was taken straight to the hospital. He literally couldn't move. It all started going downhill. T-Mac played in just 47 games in 2005. He was reasonably healthy in 2006, but the back problems were still nothing to sneeze at. He didn't look like the same player anymore either.
Yeah,
Think
I
about
know.
that. He didn't
His back was locked up. So, like, I don't know if who out there has had severe back problems, but once it happens, man, you are not, you're not comfortable. You're never physically comfortable. So that smooth as butter T-Mac is no longer possible.
look like the same transcended player he looked like just a few years earlier. He was still just 26 years old.
But he's as talented as any player I've ever seen. But I don't think that fire ever manifested itself.
You know, I mean, it's interesting. In touching on what you said, Isaiah, the demeanor, the look, the appearance, that he's not trying hard. But I don't think you lead the league in scoring if you don't have a little bit of a fire.
As he did twice.
Yeah. I think the problem was it just was. I mean, I was hurt. I think it would have helped as an older player to sort of help show him a little bit, how to do things. He was 21 when he went to Orlando and just took off. So he was still young.
And it was unfortunate too. Okay. Not only he was unfortunate with his injuries, and I know, yeah, poor T-Mac, yada yada. But it's true. All this shit's true. T-Mac leaves Toronto to get out of the shadow of his cousin, Vince Carter, which is crazy that they're freaking cousins. Um, Goes and he's going to Orlando not to be just the man, but because that man right there, Grant Hill, is there. And Grant Hill's probably about to say it straight because Grant Hill got injured and then it was over. That duo was over. T Mac was the man all alone on an island. And then he goes to Houston to go get some help. And what happens? Him and Yao Ming trade off getting injured. And it happened throughout the entire tenure there. One of them was always freaking injured and they could never get the job done because of it.
And the team wasn't that great. And I think a lot of it was frustration. I think a lot of it was he just didn't know really what to do or how to conduct himself, maybe as a teammate, as a leader. But in terms of, like you said, in terms of talent and going out and scoring like he scored, like you have to have a little bit of a fire.
As the back spasms persisted, the injury list continued to grow. It was knees, ankles, always something going on. His play lacked fun in the fans' eyes, and he wasn't having any fun playing. T-Mac wasn't the only one tired of all the injuries and the missed time. So was his head coach, Rick Adelman. He's been hurt for over a year. The thing that people want to write about is who he was 2 years ago, and he isn't that right now. If that doesn't scream trouble, I don't know what does. Not too long after that, T-Mac took an indefinite leave from the team, and that leave turned into saying goodbye to NBA stardom because he started just 24 games the following season before playing a couple ceremonial seasons for middling teams like the Detroit Pistons and Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Just a few seasons can make all the difference in the world. He went from being arguably the greatest player in the world, not named Shaq in 2002, to an afterthought just few years later. And all of this happened in just his mid to late 20s.
Man, we could have the same conversation about Grant Hill. I'm gonna have to. Hey, um, y'all, put it in the comments if you got videos on Grant Hill because very similar stories. Very similar stories. Came out instant peak. Sky's the limit. Injuries ruin their careers.
Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill,
Penny
Derrick
too.
Rose. You can make your pick for the most fascinating what-if story in NBA
Man,
history.
D Rose.
I don't know, man. T-Mac, dare I say, had an outside shot of becoming the GOAT. Certainly could have been the greatest scorer of his generation. And bro, can you imagine what the T-Mac Kobe debate for the best player in the NBA would have been like in the 2000s if T-Mac escaped all the injuries? It could have been.
Dude, that conversation was so fun. That was such a fun conversation in the early 2000s. You know, they were so similar. Similar.
The new age Bird Magic debate, T-Mac was it.
McGrady for the win. Yes!
Oh yes, and he had that clutch gene too. He was a killer.
Tracy McGrady with an incredible performance down the stretch.
Dan, that was a good video. We're gonna have to cover some more stuff from Gala. All right, guys. So let's talk about it in the comments down below. Do y'all remember Prime T Mac? And if you were you on the T Mac camp or you on the Kobe camp? Because you know you were on one or the other. There's no way you weren't rooting for one or the other. So let's talk about it down below. Y'all know I was in the T Mac camp, like easily. He was my boy. Unfortunately, the injuries happened and he never got to reach his full potential, but Kobe certainly did. All right, guys, thanks for watching the channel. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Shoot me a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comments really help push the algorithm to get my video out there. Um, and go check out Young Gala if you like this video. I'm a huge fan. We're going to cover some more of his stuff in the future. All right. Peace out, everybody. Bye.